Tony G is looking down at Jack-9 offsuit.
I regret it every single time.
Round of straddles is on.
5.
Raise to 5. Perfect.
Pre-flop begins with a fascinating clash between two distinct generations of poker aggression. Ethan Rampage Yao, the face of the modern poker vlogging era.
And of course, the 2K ante, the straddle gets an incredible price here.
Super pro.
Against the super pro.
However, the legendary Tony G, sitting in the straddle, is not a player who enjoys folding his territory. The flop falls an absolute statistical disaster for the veteran. Both players have flopped tripjacks, but the hierarchy is brutal. Rampage holds the king kicker, giving him a massive advantage, while Tony is the victim of a classic kicker trap with his 9. Tony G checks, adhering to a deceptive defensive line. Rampage fires a small continuation bet of 3,000 meant to induce action. Tony, sensing that Rampage might be continuation betting with air, executes a raise to 8,000. This is where the hand enters a high-level clickback war. Rampage, realizing he has the better trips and wanting to define the kickers immediately, 3-bets the flop to 25,000. Tony G, stubborn as ever and refusing to believe he is outkicked on the very first street, makes the call. The turn brings a complete brick. However, the psychology shifts as Tony G decides to seize the initiative. Instead of checking to the 3-better, Tony leads out with a donk bet for 25,000. This is a pure Tony G maneuver. He is trying to set the price or represent that he was trapping with a full house on the flop. He wants to confuse Rampage's mental model of the hand. The river is the queen, a card that puts a potential straight in play, but doesn't change the fact that both players hold trips. Tony G, having led the turn and been called, suddenly hits the brakes and checks. This is the moment Rampage has been waiting for. He realizes that Tony is likely in bluff catch mode and decides to go for maximum value. He fires a massive overbet of 110,000.
Ace king again.
He is putting Tony G to the ultimate test, asking him if his tripjacks are worth a 6-figure investment. Tony G goes into the tank, his ego battling his logic. He has called every street and led the turn, and now facing a massive river bet, he talks himself into the idea that Rampage is at it with a missed straight draw or a weaker jack.
Which one is king? I raised 5-3. Queen.
And he's going to get paid off. Rampage here. Trips over trips.
Jack, yeah.
Tony G is looking down at ace-king suited.
Russian friend to play for Russia, so I was tilted. I send you back to Russia is like, it's not even from there.
Exact amount he bet to get the exact
It's a
amount.
Belarusian Jew.
All you want to do is break even. You're not
Yeah,
greedy.
I'm not a greedy man.
You're not greedy at all.
Tony G with ace-king again. Must be the 5th time here tonight.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it wasn't personal at all. It was just
No.
an attack on all of Russia in general.
Yeah.
Tony G initiates the action from under the gun with a raise to 4,000 with his premium opening hand that demands respect. But Rampage, sitting in the cutoff with ace-queen offsuit, is not interested in playing a small pot. Sensing an opportunity to isolate the veteran and leverage his aggressive image, Rampage executes a 3-bet to 15,000. This is a high-pressure maneuver. Rampage is effectively telling Tony G that his opening range is too wide. Both players have flop-top pair. Rampage fires a small continuation bet of 8,000, a standard sizing designed to extract value from draws or smaller pairs. This is where Tony G decided to spring the trap early. He executes a powerful check raise to 30,000. By doing this, Tony G is attempting to define the hand immediately and represent a monster like a set of 5s or 8s. The turn brings the 2, a card that significantly increases the psychological tension. Tony G, having seized the initiative on the flop, stays relentless and fires a second barrel of 50,000. He is telling a story of absolute dominance, daring Rampage to believe that his ace-queen is still the best hand. The river is the 8, pairing the board. This card is deceptive, but mostly it just reinforces the strength of an ace.
Ace-queen?
It's a good hand.
Bro, what are you doing for Rampage?
I just love to
He
play
likes
against
money.
the pros.
Ruining his reputation as being a good poker player.
It's a very fragile rep.
I qualified.
He's losing to Lithuanian.
Ace queen, and he put me on a flush draw. I mean, right? He put me on a flush draw. It's normal.
Lithuanian.
Sometimes, you know what they say, Rampage? You know what they say? No longer fun when the bunny's got the gun, right? We're playing with bunnies. But enjoy. I might like dish it off soon.
Phil Ivey kicks things off with Jack 10 offsuit.
Take a hand off, Phil. Nope.
He is last to act and completes, choosing position and pot control over isolation. We are about to see a flop with Ivey uncapped and in position, exactly where he is most dangerous. Artem checks the flop. That is standard into the pre-flop caller on a middling, draw-heavy texture. It keeps his range uncapped and lets Ivey define the pot. Ivey bets $40,000. With top pair and a decent kicker, he wants to tax the spade draws and gut shots like 7-8, 7-9, 8-9, and deny Ace-X and Queen-X a free card.
Phil is the best player. So if I play Phil, not look, it's not good. I think if I have a free card, Phil have two cards. It's same game.
The call also keeps Ivey's C-bet frequency high and disguises Artem's range, which can still include sets, two pair, and strong draws. Artem checks. This is a strong check with newly improved equity. His hand picks up a pair plus an open-ended straight draw, and checking preserves the option to continue versus multiple bet sizes. Ivey bets $100,000. The card connects hard with the flop draw matrix, so this is a pressure value bet. He targets spades, one pair sixes and fives, and sticky straight draws. He also denies equity from overcards that could river him. Artem calls. Now pair plus open-ender is far too strong to fold, and raising would polarize him into bluffs or monsters while letting Ivey 3-bet shove. By calling, he realizes the river and keeps Ivey's range wide. Artem leads $119,000. The straight completes for him, and this sizing is clever. Into a large pot, it looks blockish, inviting a hero call from exactly the type of hand Ivey has, while still extracting when Ivey shows up with two pair or a stubborn Ace-X that's slow played.
Now Phil's in the same spot he put Vanessa in on the first hand. He's getting value bet in a spot where bluffing is more expected than a tip in an American bar. Phil calls.
Peter is looking down at 5-3 suited. Although the action picks up at the flop, we can see the wreckage of the pre-flop battle. In a standard professional game, the hands we see are frequently folded, but in this splashy dynamic, all three players have found a reason to see a flop. Nate finds himself in a dominant position with top two pair, while Peter is hunting for a miracle looking for the 4 of clubs to complete his straight flush draw. Nick V flinging to bottom pair also looks for the nut flush from any club. Nate decides to drop the hammer, executing a powerful 3-bet to 4,000. He is betting for maximum value, hoping to charge draws or get a hero call from a single pair. However, Peter refuses to be bullied. Holding the potential straight flush, Peter realizes that his fold equity is his greatest weapon. He chooses the most aggressive path possible.
Oh.
Talk, but I can't.
You've got the equity.
Everybody watching wishes you could talk too. All right? It's bad for the game that I got a guy behind me.
This is a classic semi-bluff. Peter is banking on his straight flushouts while simultaneously trying to force a fold from a marginal one-pair hand.
And I'll tell you what I had after, and if it comes, I'm going to be...
They both put in 12,000.
Right, Tex?
Yeah. Good read. They have real hands.
Yeah. Ace.
With your luck tonight?
Oh, a straight flush for Tucci would have been crushed.
Did you get there?
Did you get there? Nate's not going to be happy about this one. He has $120 left.
Oh, God, I'm so sick. I had it all.
Bertucci is beside himself right now.
Two pair.
Two pair.
I might have got counterfeited.
Okay, yeah, I'm not going to slow roll you too much.
Nice hand.
Straight flush.
Yes! Right there, baby! Ace. I had ace deuce of clubs.
This is beautiful. Nick's going to think it was a great fold now.
Ace of deuce of clubs.
Oh my God, I'm so mad I want to break that fucking.
Unlucky for Nate Hill.
That other door is about to get
four. I'd have been tilted.
Yeah. Plus the other door, Nate.
Ace deuce of clubs, bro.
Sashimi opens up with pocket aces. She is staring deep in the eyes of her friend Brittany and has raised to the modest $110.
Thank you, Geraldine. I appreciate that. I'm like trying to figure it out. Like, what is going on there?
Anybody.
I didn't want to play it.
Get out of here. Get out of my
Somebody squeeze, please.
We almost get a family pot like in the Jennifer Tilly game that you should check out in the description after finishing this video.
7.
Brittany doesn't get the 7 she wished for, but the flop delivers a 10 for Jamie, just enough to look like she is winning in her eyes. So Sashimi can squeeze her with the aces. Sashimi starts off with a small bet of $400, trying to see how this low-hanging pot landed for the people on the 5-way pot. To which Brittany snap calls and Jamie takes an unusually long time to think about calling, and we can see why. She decides $400 is too low and raises Sashimi's bet to $2,000. To which both Coco and Brittany with the pocket 6s and 7s decide it's too expensive to play and fold, and Sashimi with a smile on her face calls. The turn comes the 4 of clubs, to which Sashimi checks, trying to fish out the all-in jam from Jamie. And if she was aiming for that good job because.
Jamie is all in, and Sashimi's got her killed. Jamie looking for a 10 ball.
10.
Give her a 10. Give her a 10.
I did a 5.
10.
5.
Oh!
You asked for
Oh, you got what you asked for.
Wow.
Jamie was in such bad shape.
Maria Ho is looking down on King 9 suited. She limps the button, which already tells you her plan to keep ranges wide and let him put himself in a bad position post-flop. Ike makes it 230K from the blind. That's classic heads-up logic. Punish the limp, isolate, take control with position post-flop. The problem is, Maria's hand actually plays great versus that sizing, and her call means Ike is now in the blender with a weak, dominated hand in a bloated pot. This flop is basically nightmare equity mapping for Ike. He flops trips if he's Maria, but he's not Maria, she is. He just pairs his 6. With that texture, from Ike's perspective, he's going to get called by worse a lot if he bets, and he's also repping strong, so he continuation bets 175K. That C-bet with middle pair is him kind of value protecting and denying equity versus overcards. Maria just calls. She doesn't raise, and that flat is so evil. If she raises the flop, Ike can sometimes hero fold hands and avoid lighting the rest of the clip on fire. By just calling, she keeps in literally everything he can keep barreling with. He shuts down, he checks. That check is him saying, okay, maybe I don't need to blast with just a 6 here, let's control. Maria bets 310K into that check. That sizing is nasty because it forces Ike to start making real decisions with a bluff catcher, and it continues the story that she could just be stabbing after he gave up on the king. From Ike's point of view, her line still looks super wide. She can absolutely be floating with air and now trying to win it. So Ike calls. The river pairs the 6. That is the cruel part. Ike goes from, I have 2 pair, I'm bluff catching, to wait, I've got a full house now, 6 is full of 9s. I actually beat random bluffs and counterfeited 9s that didn't improve. His hand upgrades in his mind. He checks, planning to catch, and Maria just rips it in.
And she shoves on Ike.
I want to make a really big fold here. I think you have it.
5 seconds.
Yeah, okay. Time to look either real smart or real dumb. Ugh, that was gross.
Daniel Negreanu was looking down at 7-4 suited. Pre-flop initiates a classic confrontation between the godfather of poker Doyle Brunson and the master of the modern era, Negreanu. The action begins with Barry opening the pot, but the real narrative starts when Negreanu decides to flat call holding 7-4 of clubs. This is a quintessential Negreanu move. He is playing a speculative, suited hand for its implied odds, banking on his ability to navigate post-flop streets and outmaneuver his opponents if he connects.
66 is the total, right? So I owe 52, right?
I just wanted to put Barry on tilt.
I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood too.
You're in the mood. And you bought another 100, right? I got something to win if I hit.
Daniel calls. It was no surprise that the 2 guys I was against came after me the next hand.
The flop falls a texture that is deceptively dangerous for both players. For Brunson, his pocket aces remain a dominant overpair, though the paired board introduces the theoretical threat of a 10. For Negreanu, he has flopped a pair of 7s, which on this specific board acts as a treacherous middle pair. Brunson, sticking to his aggressive power poker philosophy, fires a heavy continuation bet of 18,000. He is testing Negreanu, essentially asking if he has the 10 or if he is willing to lose it all with a smaller pair. Negreanu, known for being incredibly sticky when he feels his opponent might be over-representing big cards like ace-king or ace-queen, makes the call. He is convinced that Brunson's bet could easily be a standard positional stab, and his pair of 7s feels like a sufficient bluff catcher at this stage. The turn brings the 5, a card that structurally changes very little but accelerates the psychological warfare. Brunson, sensing that Negreanu is not going to fold to a standard bet,
Guess I just got enough for one bet.
Doyle shoves.
Every time I watch, Doyle always has kings.
Close.
Doyle always has kings. I don't feel like you have kings, though.
You are 100% correct.
Got the Doyle Brunson hand, the 10 deuce. Everything leads me to believe that I should never fold here for some stupid reason. I like Doyle either way, right? So if I win the money, I'll be happy because I've won. And if I lose, it goes to a good guy. It's like a win-win situation. The only thing I can do would be bad is fold, get bluffed, feel stupid. So I'll just call it.
Daniel calls.
You got anything? Oh, that's good. Yeah, I just have a 7. Okay. I have 2 outs.
No, just one. Justin folded a 7.
Y'all deal once or twice or 3
I do
times?
twice. It's fine.
Whatever you want. I don't care.
2 is good for me.
All right. Deal it twice. Maybe we can split it. Maybe I'll get a split.
Maybe you'll get a split. And you get a lot of big pairs. I was thinking, how many can you get?
The first run for half is a queen.
The 6 tray last time.
What's that?
That blocky last time.
Brunson wins the first run worth nearly 112 grand.
Apparently Daniel had me beat.
Second run is a king.
Whoops.